So, how many of you already know about some Greek mythology? So basically, Greek mythology was a big part of Greek culture back then. It was probably around before the Romans took over, and then they took over their ideas and so. So basically, the Greeks would create sculptures of them, they would honor them, they would make sacrifices to them, they would pray to them. They usually had these oracles who say they can speak to these gods that can basically fulfill their prayers. To start with, I think we all know who Zeus is, basic knowledge of Zeus. So Zeus is the god of gods, god of thunder, god of the skies. He's god of everything, basically. He rules over Olympus. And he has a good record of a lot of affairs. So he has one wife, Hera, who's the goddess of marriage, and basically he cheats on her all the time. So if you want to know any symbols of him for any projects or resources, know it's a lightning, thunderbolt, an eagle, a bull, or an oak tree. So not much to say about Zeus because we all know who he is. Poseidon is Zeus's brother. You could say probably older brother, that's what most say in Greece. So he is the god of the ocean. He has quite of a temper, very angry all the time. If you read the Odyssey, you can tell he's always angry. Any symbols could be a trident, a fish, a dolphin, or a horse. Hades is one of the most hated gods in Greek mythology, or to say back in Greece, but he was probably one of the most chillest gods, probably the most kindest gods in the entire Greek mythology who does nothing wrong. So he is a god of the underworld and wealth. He's very rich because if he lives in the underworld, then he has a bunch of gold, a bunch of riches, so he's easily the most wealthiest god. He is the husband of Persephone, who is the goddess of spring. Some say it is the abduction of Persephone, but some stories say that Persephone went willingly because she was tired of her controlling mother Demeter. Any symbols can be a scepter, a horn of plenty, Cerberus, which is a three-headed dog. Athena is probably one of the most important goddesses in entire Greece. She's mainly honored in Athens. If anyone knows what Athens is, Athens, Greece. She is the goddess of wisdom and strategic war. So basically, Athena is one of the most smartest goddesses, which is why Athens mainly honored her instead of Zeus. So usually they would build a bunch of statues of her. They would be used strategic war to figure out how they should go to war, weapons should they use to fight during wars. And usually Athena was Athens' main goddess who they used to counter Sparta. And Sparta honored Ares, which is the god of violent war. So any of these symbols would be good, which are owls, olive trees, snakes, armor, helmets, or spears. Now Ares is the god of violent war, or Sparta. If everyone played God of War, then you know what Sparta is. Any other things like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, also Sparta, also Athens as well. So usually Sparta, they would use Ares as their main god. So Sparta's way of life was just violence. They used, I would say they grabbed their sons and they'd be like, okay, you gotta go to war. Instead of learning how to read books or learning how to play tag or anything like that, you're gonna learn how to use this weapon and go kill. Because all Sparta is just war, which is why Ares was their god. So sword, spear, shield, chariot, all symbols you can use. Artemis is, I wouldn't say like she's used much in all of Greece during their ancient times, but she was the goddess of hunting, vegetation, and wild animals. She's the twin sister of Apollo. So she usually is the goddess who protects young girls. And some say if you killed an animal, one of her animals, she would hunt you down and kill you instead. Her symbols could be a moon, bow, arrow, or a hunting dog. Persephone, of course, the wife of Hades. She's the goddess of spring, who was said to be abducted by Hades into the underworld, but some stories say she went willingly. She ate a pomegranate in the underworld, so that made her be forced to stay with Hades. So it's fall now, so basically Persephone should be in the underworld with Hades right now till winter. And when she comes back, it becomes spring again. This is because her mother controls all the seasons. So if she leaves, then fall and winter happens. When she comes back, then spring and summer happens. Hephaestus is also one of the minor gods, but also one of the 12 Olympians. He is the god of blacksmiths and fire, so usually he makes weapons for all the gods, which is why Greeks would usually honor him just for them to use weapons and stuff. So not really that huge of a god, but still important. His symbols were a hammer, an anvil, or tongues. Apollo is probably one of the most important gods. He is the god of a lot of things. So music, archery, dance, truth, prophecy, medicine, plague, and poetry. So Apollo is used a lot in stories written by Homer, or Herodotus, or Hesiod, some who wrote his Atticus. But usually he is seen as an antagonist in stories, like the Iliad. He helped kill Achilles in the heel. And in I want to say at the beginning of the Iliad, he released a plague onto the Greeks. So he was usually honored in Troy, of course. So his symbols would be a lyre, a bow and arrow, a wolf, and a laurel tree. And also twin brother of Artemis. They usually don't get along because they have a lot of competitions of who's the best archer. Demeter is Persephone's mother, and also she had an affair with Zeus. So, they have Persephone. She's the goddess of harvest, grain, and fertility. She is a very controlling mother because she basically hates everyone and likes to stay where she is. So she was very angry when Hades took away Persephone, and Zeus helped with that. So she causes the seasons and the harvest and all that stuff. Also one of the minor gods, so not that important to honor in some cases. So her symbols would be wheat, bread, torch, or cornucopia. Hera is Zeus's wife. She's the goddess of marriage. She also has somewhat of a temper. So usually when her husband went off to have all these affairs, she would decide she's gonna punish the girl or the child instead of Zeus, her husband, who actually did these horrible things to her. So if she actually did speak out against Zeus, she would get punished, which is probably why she decides to punish the children instead. So with her, she's not as honored in Greece as much as her husband. Her symbols would be a cuckoo, a diadem, or a lily flower. Eris is also a minor goddess. She was mainly at the beginning of the Iliad because she possessed the golden apple. If anyone doesn't know the story before the Iliad or the Battle of Troy happened, she tossed an apple, basically a golden apple, into a crowd of goddesses. The goddess was like, hey, I'm the most beautiful, and they just kept finding who's the most beautiful. So they grabbed the mortal, told him which one was beautiful. She caused all this chaos and destruction, mainly the one that caused the Battle of Troy, all because she decided to throw an apple because she wasn't invited to a wedding. So she was the goddess of strife and discord. Symbols can be a golden apple, a small dagger, a single dirk, or a burning torch. Eros, minor god as well. He is the god of love. He's also known as Cupid, and he does have a love story with Psyche, a mortal woman, if everyone knows that story. Symbols could be a bow and arrow, a lyre, roses, or doves. Aphrodite is the goddess of love and beauty. A lot of people use her just for love and beauty and so on. Not really big statues represented by cities for her. So symbols could be rose, artichokes, seashells, and mirrors. Hermes was just the messenger of gods. He had this story with Apollo where he abducted his animals as a little child. He's also sports athletes, anything like that. if any sports or athletes occurred in Greece, then they would honor Hermes instead before the game started. So symbols could be a tortoise, a lyre, rooster, or a winged helmet. A lyre because he stole Apollo's lyre. So Dionysus, he was usually honored when it came to party time in ancient Greece. So god of wine, ritual madness, theater, great harvest. Anything related to parties, the Greeks honored him in that case, and they sacrificed him in that case. So the symbols would be grapes, panthers, big cats, Iris. Hestia is one of the most not honored goddesses because she's not that important to the story. Also, probably the eldest sister of Zeus. She is the goddess of hearth, family, and home. No stories are really written about her because she's not that important, no records of her really. So symbols could be hearth or fire. Selene, maybe what people know. Goddess of the moon. Not many Greeks also honored her. It was just a crescent, billowing cloak if we find symbols of her. Atlas is a Titan god who holds the world on his shoulders. There's a story that after Titanomachy, which was Zeus against his father, Cronus, he was forced to bear the world on his shoulders for fighting with Cronus, basically. So some Greeks said that the person that's holding the world up is Atlas, even though there's no person holding up the world. His symbol could be a sphere. Rhea is Zeus's mother, Titan goddess of female fertility, motherhood, and generations. So Cronus wanted to eat his children so he wouldn't be overthrown. But Rhea was like, no, I don't want my kids being eaten and all that stuff, but she was forced to give away her kids, except Zeus, which she fools her husband to eating a rock. So she played a major role in that case. Symbols could be a crown or a tambourine. Cronus, man-eating sons and all that stuff, so we know that story. So he was a previous Titan god, Olympus. He's not really the god of anything, basically. He decided to eat his children so he could stay in power. He overthrew his father Uranus in that case, but he was like, I don't want to be overthrown anymore, so I'm just going to eat my children. That didn't work out so well because he got overthrown anyway. So symbols would be a sickle, grain, or the scythe. Not to be confused with Cronus, because Cronus is the god of time. He was one of the first gods to basically set foot on Earth according to the Greeks. His symbols could be hourglass, zodiac, wheel, or harvesting scythe. Nike is just one of the extra gods for any Greek games that occur in Greece. She's the goddess of victory. So basically any victory that occurs with teams in sports or so on and so forth with games, she would be honored in that sense. So her symbol would be a large winged palm branch or a large seal. Achilles is the main protagonist basically of the Iliad. Pretty sure we all know him, we all read about him. He's the demigod of Trojan War. So he fought amongst the Greeks, but he wouldn't really fight with the Greeks because he didn't want to fight in the war whatsoever until his best friend Patroclus died. And then he got really angry and fought against the Trojans and killed Hector. He did bad stuff to Hector. I'm not going to get into that because it's pretty gruesome. But someone could be a shield, one of the greatest heroes, but of course died by his heel. Heracles, or Hercules in Roman names. He's a demigod, greatest of heroes. Some say he did tame a demon lion. He had a bunch of these challenges Hera made him go through because he killed his wife and child. But yeah, just his stories, his full labors. It's just a demon lion in a clone. Perseus, you should know Perseus, Percy Jackson also. He's a demigod, a founder of Mycenae. He's mainly known for severing the head of Medusa. And that's it. But Greek mythology was a big part of ancient Greek culture. until they started going down after the fight against Athens and Sparta. The Romans decided to take over Greece itself, and Romans from there on decided to grow and grow until Greece was no more. But of course, Greece still stands today, but they don't honor their gods as they used to. They honor one god now. So, yeah.
Could you touch a little bit on like the Olympians versus like the Titan gods?
Tainomachy. So, Zeus was raised by nymphs after Satan. So when he grew up, he was like, okay, I gotta take my throne. I gotta free my brothers and sisters from my father's stomach, because apparently they were still alive in his stomach. So he went and he gathered all the gods and goddesses he could find. He poisoned Cronus to where he spit out all his brothers and sisters. He's recruited them, and then they all decided to fight with the Titans, so Zeus can overthrow Cronus and take over Olympus. So a bunch of Titans fought with Cronus. Sometimes they abandoned Cronus and decided to fight with Zeus, and those got like honored in some way, but they weren't really given a lot of benefits as the gods were. Atlas, of course, was punished because he fought with Cronus, so he bear the world on his shoulders. Prometheus fought with Zeus, but Prometheus soon would steal fire and, ignore Zeus, and then he got punished. So Zeus fought Cronus, and he beat Cronus eventually, or killed him in a sense, and trapped all the Titans in Tartarus.
What started your interest with Greek mythology?
I read the Odyssey my freshman year, so that basically sparked it in a way.
Good. Does anybody else have any questions about gods or goddesses? No? Tomorrow, are you planning on telling a story, or do you have another, you've been like telling quite a few. Do you have like a favorite that you would want to share?
I did bring one of my books over there, if anyone does like
Okay. To look through it?
a story or read it,
Okay. Awesome.
Trying to fast forward through all the gods.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. Good job.